Hey, Dad, can I ask you a question?
Go to it.
All right, Dad, I'm going to ask you a question. My question for this week, if I may.
Yeah.
What is the absolute scariest moment of your life up until this point?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, I was once in Florida with a few friends who
Okay,
people on the podcast would know who these people are for sure.
cool.
And we were I don't know what we were doing. We were like staying in Fort Lauderdale. We were visiting grandparents, and I was down there. And me and a few friends who shall remain nameless because maybe they listen to the podcast. We went to Liberty City.
What?
Liberty,
Where's Liberty
Liberty
City?
City, Liberty City's in Southern Florida, and it was basically like Harlem
Mm,
for this area. And we went there to get weed. And when we arrived at the spot where we were getting weed, we were surrounded by about 15 individuals who were
okay.
very scary, very scary. Like I said, like it was Florida's Harlem, or Fort Lauderdale's Harlem.
Sure.
Really scary, and we got really panicked. And I think we were driving at the time, so we were probably 16 years old,
Oh,
being
wow.
stupid. And the only thing we could do was we went into a bar,
Okay.
and the owner of the bar was like, you white kids shouldn't be, you white rich kids shouldn't be in this city. And we were like, we understand. And he escorted us out to the car, and there was a mob there. Like, they didn't want any part of us. I mean, they wanted a part of us, but they didn't want us in their city.
Was your heart just boom, 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 boom?
I might have even peed in my pants. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
you're just
it was, yeah, we were
you're just
stupid little kids, and yeah,
in
it
a
was
place
quite
you're
frightening.
not
Yeah.
familiar with, and
Not familiar. We just shouldn't have been there at all.
no, but
It
even
was a
then,
bad situation.
But even then, there's plenty of places in the world you wouldn't want to be, and then there's plenty of places that if you're just there for the first time, it's scary to begin with. So, what was
You
it?
know,
Was it like why were you even in Liberty?
like I said, to pick up drugs.
But like just there to do that? Like why were you in
Yeah.
Florida in the first place?
Well, I was in Florida, probably visiting one of my friends, hanging out with one of my friends who was visiting their grandparents. So I was
Right.
invited to go down. You know this person very well. And we were just, being stupid schmucks,
Right. Yeah.
and thought we were cool because, at 16, 17 years of age, you're the shit.
Right.
And we went to a neighborhood that we shouldn't go to. It would be the equivalent of us going into Compton.
You think you the shit? You're not even the fart.
No,
No. You're
no.
not even the fart.
I was a big nobody. I'm still a big nobody. But
No.
that being said,
you're a somebody to me.
you're somebody. I'm your dad. But yeah, like it was like the equivalent of going into Compton. Not good.
Do you have a question for me?
Yeah. What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you? I mean,
Oof. Well, so I mean, if we're talking recently, I've had like two really weird encounters on the subway in less than like a week. The first one was like I got like punched in the stomach by a dude in the
What?
yeah. I don't need to get into it, but I got like punched in the stomach, and like because like I accidentally bumped into this guy, and before I could like apologize, he like socked me in the stomach, and then I was like, oh, and then like it hurt really badly, but like he was smaller than me, it didn't put me to the ground or anything. And then afterwards, before I could like apologize, he just like starts screaming like, this man.
Why are you apologizing? For what?
Well, just because like he stopped, and then I couldn't stop myself from bumping in. And then last night on the subway, this woman was like just being crazy, and this didn't scare me. So I won't even get into it. But she was just kind of being crazy and was like filming me, and I was like, oh, this is probably how Timothy Chalamet or Harrison Ford feels riding the subway, just people videoing all the time. But the scariest thing,
did they think you were John Mayer?
No, because does John Mayer have a mustache? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
The scariest thing that's happened to me up until this point in my life has got to be, and I don't think I've ever talked about this on the podcast. It's got to be when I was arrested at 17 years of age, which is kind of crazy now that I'm 23. It seems long ago. It was long ago now,
Yeah.
but it was a definite game changer in my life. But really, just not even to get into the whole like what it did for me in my personal life. Um,
Why? Yeah, well, I'd like to know, why were you arrested?
but before that's the scarier part was that night because it was just a very vulnerable situation, underage, accused of like drinking and driving, and then once they figured out I wasn't drunk, they assumed I was high, and I wasn't high, and I was arrested for driving under the influence, even though I wasn't drunk
Time
or
out.
high.
So that's one of the scariest parts of my life, then, is
Right.
watching my fucking son in handcuffs.
Oh, oh.
Okay. So that's one of the scariest parts. But
And I'll
you know
never
what?
forget. I'll
Yeah.
never forget when you came down. I remember they had probably been like harassing me and investigating for maybe like 2 hours up until this point, until something like came over me because I was young. Like I mean, I don't think anyone, no matter the age, would know how to handle being in the situation I was in. But I think being a little older and a little wiser, there were some things I would have noticed.
Mhm.
And like one of them was the fact that like 2 hours had gone by and they hadn't asked me for like my ID. They hadn't asked me how old I was. They hadn't asked me like if I needed to make a phone call. But so like 2 hours had gone by and it kind of dawns on me like I think a parent should be here. Like so I said, can I call someone? Like, can I call my parents? And he, wasn't a nice officer by any means, but was nice enough to say like, sure. So I call mom, doesn't answer. Shout out mom. She loves me and I love her, so it's all good. But she didn't answer. And sorry, Dad, she was my first call.
It's okay.
And then I called you.
She's the more reasonable of the two of us. I get why she would be your first call.
Well, because what
I came
happens
by.
is
Yeah.
when you came by,
Mhm.
I remember it clear as day. I call you and I'm like, Dad, I'm at a DUI checkpoint. They got me held up.
Mhm.
I'm on the corner of Ventura and Columbus. Can you please, please, please come down? You come over on your Vespa.
Yeah.
You park it like right where my car is parked because they like brought the car kind of off to like further down the boulevard.
Mhm.
You park it, you see me,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's my fucking son over there. I was like,
Oh,
you were
yeah.
like, you can't fucking do that.
I fucking gave it to the cop.
Yeah, you
I
were
gave it to the cop. I'm like, he's a fucking minor, and
yeah,
he's in
oh,
fucking handcuffs.
getting like emotional reminiscing about it. Like
Yeah.
it was just
No.
so like um what a crazy situation. And I can't even, I hope I never have to see it from your perspective. I will always see it from my perspective because it happened to me, and you'll
Yeah.
always see it from your perspective, and you
Mhm.
but we'll never see it from each other's. I hope I never see it from yours, and you'll likely never see it from my perspective. So I can't even imagine, like as a parent, what that was like. Like, what were you thinking? Were you like, I'm scared for him, but also he's a dumbass because like, why would he get high and drive? Like, what were
Oh,
your
yeah.
thoughts?
You recall, I was. So why don't you tell everyone? So you get arrested, right?
Yeah.
You go to an adult prison.
Yeah. They,
Right.
this guy, this
Yeah.
cop was so lousy and so
Yeah.
sloppy that
Uh-huh.
he tried writing me like a citation as if I was an adult, which is different from a citation you would receive if you're a minor, which I was.
Yes.
So they brought me to an adult prison,
Correct.
and they put me in a holding cell. But I think there was a cop at the station, if I remember correctly, that realized I was underage and was like, he shouldn't be put in the. He
General
was
population.
yeah, he was the nicer.
Yeah.
Neither of them were that nice, but he was the nicer of the two, and he was like, he shouldn't be in the GP holding cell.
Right.
So they put me in my
Right.
own holding cell.
Yes.
And I
Have a picture
remember
of it. I know it well.
it was just this room was like the walls were white. There was a brown door with a steel bench and just cameras in all four corners, and like the room was like this tight. Like it was so small, and I must have been in there for like an hour and a half. I got so bored. I was like doing sit-ups, doing like jumping jacks. Like I was like, what am I supposed to do? I'm tired. I
Like
want
a
to
real
stay awake.
prisoner, huh?
Seriously, yeah, really adopting the whole like prisoner mentality. But no, it was just
Just
scary.
get ready. You know.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, they're gonna throw
Yeah,
me in there.
I gotta tell you, I remember going to the Van Nuys jail. Fuck you very much. And
Yeah,
I was
crazy.
pretty upset with you. Um, but and I had and then they released you on no
Yeah,
bail. And I remember having a few words with the cop because the cop was like, he's a really good kid, and I just want to teach him a lesson. I'm like, I remember saying to him, like, what kind of fucking lesson are you teaching him? Like, you didn't give him a urine test. He passed breathalyzers. I said,
four times. Four
yeah,
times
and
I
I
passed the
remember him
breathalyzer.
saying to me, yeah, I remember him saying to me, I said, so what's your evidence here? What do you got? And he's like, well, he's asking the wrong questions. And he's asking too many questions. I'm like, okay, he's curious. Like, why he should be asking questions.
Which I've
And
always
then,
been. I've always been a
yeah,
curious kid.
yes, almost you talk too much sometimes, and not now, but when you were younger. And then,
Sure.
then I remember asking him, I'm like, what else you got? He's like, well, his heart rate's up. I'm like, come on, man. If you pulled me over, my heart rate would go up. Like I'm
So
50 years old
scary.
at the time. And then I said, what else you got? And he says, well, his eyes were dilated. I'm like, okay, well, it's nighttime and you're shining a light in his eyes. I'm like, you know what? I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like I was so annoyed with him. And then, I came home and I was ready to just destroy your life. And then I stopped and I was realizing, you know what? Like, let's just figure this out. And we did. And my riding partner, Allison Davis, shout out. I was able to contact her husband, and it worked out really well. And I think like the craziest part about it is this happened on Super Bowl Sunday weekend of 2020. So
Yeah.
we had a little
Yeah, it
lag
did.
time, and there was a virus starting and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and we had a court date set up. And I'll never forget, like, the truant officer. We then had a meeting with the truant officer on FaceTime or Zoom.
Because we were
I forget.
already in COVID. And what
Yes,
was interesting is
yes, and
before this, we had to get we had to get a new citation because I remember my
right.
first meeting with my lawyer. He was reading the citation. He was
Uh-huh.
like, "This isn't right." He was like, they scheduled you a court date in an adult court, but
Right,
you're a
right, right,
minor, so we need to
right,
revise this. So we actually had to
right.
meet up with the two arresting officers
Yes,
again
yes, and we met up with them at our sponsor, Helen
at our
Cycles.
sponsor, Helen Cycles. You hear more about them later in the show, or maybe next.
Yeah.
And then basically right after they showed up, I actually had to miss school to
Uh huh.
get this new citation. And I
Yeah.
remember you saying something like, I think the arresting officer
Uh-huh.
was you guys had some words and it was cordial, but at one point he says to you like, does he does he even like does your son have anything to say to me or something? And you kind of looked at him and were like, what does he have to say to you? You're wasting his time. Like he had to miss school to be here. I don't think he
Right,
wants to be here at all.
right. But then I remember, like I said, I remember the conference. It was a conference call with the
Right. So
lawyer
after
and the
we get the
truant
new
officer. Right.
citation,
Yeah, it was a conference call. And I remember because we were supposed to meet in her office, but we didn't, again, because of the pandemic was just starting to
yeah,
start, like no meetings. And I remember her asking me, so how
two
is your
questions.
son?
Two questions. Yeah, she asks,
She's
"How
like,
is your
how is your
son?"
son doing? I'm like, my son's a love. Like, she's like, do you think he needs any help? I'm like, no, like, no, this is a complete misunderstanding. And then, and then she asks me, how much did you pay for your house? And I was like, I don't know. And I don't see why that matters. And she says, okay, this case is dismissed.
Yeah, I remember. It took
And,
her like 3 minutes.
I've repeated that line so many times to people. Like, they ask me how much I pay for my house. I mean, what fucking difference does it make? How much I paid for my house? What does that have to do with my child's
Right.
lawsuit?
Yeah. Well, it was no. It wasn't a lawsuit.
No, it wasn't a lawsuit. It was a lawsuit. But,
We
case.
were thinking about though. We were thinking about trying to
Yeah.
sue. And then the pandemic happened. We loosely discussed it because it was a really, I mean, we didn't really go into detail
Yeah, but
about
you know
how
what?
messed up the whole thing was.
Right. But we were doing research. There was a lot of shit talking about this particular cop.
Oh, yeah.
And I called him out on it. because I called him out at Helen's when we did the paperwork.
Oh, did
and
you?
yeah. And he said to me, Adam, look, he's like, I arrest people who are under DUI. He's like, people are not going to like me because of that. And I'm like, I get that because I've been pulled over a DWI before. And
Right.
I wouldn't have liked the cop either. But I was in New York City at the time. It was 5:00 in the morning. I was on the Lower West Side. And literally the cop says to me, he says, you know what? I'm just about to get off work and you are way too much fucking paperwork. Get the fuck out of my city. I must have been 18 or 19 years old at the time.
That's crazy. And you know what was even crazier about the whole situation is so that was a Friday. I want to say it was like the 12th or the 13th, whatever that Friday, the second Friday.
You're coming back from Chipotle.
March 20. Oh no. I'm talking about the meeting we had on Zoom. Was either it was like the second Friday of March 2020. The reason I know this so well is because 2 days before I had gone to see Tame Impala at the Forum with my friends. Won't even tell you what we did there, but you know, we had an amazing night. We were celebrating my 18th birthday because I had just turned 18. And you had said to me as we're getting into the Uber to go to this show, I hope you have fun, but I just want you to know I don't like the fact that you're going because this COVID, we didn't know what it was, but you said this virus thing is getting really serious. The next day after the concert is a Thursday. I go to school. That Friday, I miss school to take this meeting with the officer for them to dismiss the case. I never went back to school because of the pandemic.
Right.
So I actually missed what would have been my technical last day of school. I don't even know if you knew that. My technical last day of school to do this, fake fugazi, it's a woozy fairy dust court, thing on Zoom. And I never went back to school because of the pandemic.
Wow. So I actually knew something that was going on in the world, and
you did.
No one else seemed to have known it.
You did. What else is going on in the world? I hear Trump and Elon are now butting heads over Doge.
Yeah, well, because he doesn't like Trump's big, blue, beautiful bill that the Republicans are working on. It's going to add $30 trillion to the debt.
To the national debt.
To the national debt, and over the next 10 years. I mean, it's not next week. And he's like, that's not what Doge was supposed to be doing, But yeah, it's kind of nice that they're button heads now a little bit. And he says he's done with politics. I don't know if that's going to happen, but he spent $290 million to get Trump elected. Isn't that crazy?
This episode is sponsored by Helen Cycles, taking good care of people and their bikes since 1936. Serving Southern California with locations in Santa Monica and Manhattan Beach, with brands like Trek, Santa Cruz, Pinarello, and Colnago. We'll see you on the bike.
Is it crazy? And
what a bad investment.
So you read these things, how he cuts all these programs through Doge, but he doesn't cut SpaceX or Tesla, because they all get money from the federal government. Like that's what government does. I mean, government does too much of it. I get it, but they do. They do give to a lot of companies and subsidize them. I mean, they subsidize farmers. He's fucking the farmers now. But anyway, but it was really funny. Is like, so we had another rocket ship blow up.
I saw that. I saw that.
It's like, so we're going to keep dumping money into this and going to Mars.
Right.
Like,
that's like back to the drawing board.
But it's not necessarily back to the drawing board. I mean, they're great. I have a good friend who works at Tesla, and it's pretty amazing stuff that they're doing over there. I get it. I really get it. I'm talking about Tesla, not SpaceX, but but like, come on, like, what are we spending all this money to go to Mars? What, so we can go inhabit Mars and then destroy that planet? Aren't we destroying this planet enough already?
Not only are we destroying this planet enough, but yeah, I think we would destroy another planet. And similar to Mickey 17, which was just added to HBO.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. I know there's no such thing as climate change. I'm well aware of that. There's no such thing. I'm winking. Yeah.
Clearly.
Like I have bamboo growing in my backyard in the winter now. Okay. So Yeah, there's no climate change. But go on.
But we would
Mickey 17.
yeah, I was just gonna say though, like we're destroying this planet, who's to say we wouldn't destroy another planet?
We
and
will. That's what
and
we do.
and I feel like Mickey 17, Bong Joon-ho's latest piece, just put out
Unbelievable.
on HBO. It just came out on HBO finally.
It's
It's
called
very
Max until
Oh,
until
right, sorry,
July. Then it turns into HBO
HBO
Max.
Max.
Yes.
But what's interesting is there were a lot, it was kind of similar to like what you're talking about right now, which is like, okay, us human beings go and try colonize on another planet, and it's like we
Mhm.
get there and I mean, total spoiler for the movie, but it's like we get there and we just like assume we have to kill any sign of life that's
Right.
already there.
Right.
And it's
Because
like
that's what we do.
it's horrible. It's what
It's what
we've
we do as
done.
humans. It's just what we do. It's what we do as United States. It's what
Yeah.
we do as humans. I mean, look,
Yeah.
how is the United States, like, okay, Israel, they're killing all the people in Palestine, and that's a real thing, whether you think it's genocide or not. I don't know. I don't care what your politics
I don't
are,
think
because
we're in a position to talk about it.
that's fine. But you know what? But we have done the same stuff to the Native American
Oh,
Indians.
well, that is a position we're definitely in to speak on,
Right.
because it's just
Yeah.
that's just American history. That's like
Yeah.
kind of what we've done. It's almost like we've laid the groundwork for the rest of the world to just butt heads with each other.
Yeah, but we only did that 250 years ago. I mean, the Romans have been killing everybody for three,
Right.
4,000 years. So,
Right.
I
But
mean,
still,
we didn't lay any groundwork. It's human nature. It's really sad if you think about it.
it's terrible. It's
We're
like
not we're
every
not good. We're not good. We're not a good species. We're just
yeah,
not.
and that's an even like grander philosophy, because like every single day on the news, like I'm not surprised anymore when I see someone like dying. I'm not surprised anymore when I hear this new murder, that new murder. And it's like, I mean, it takes a certain kind of human being to be capable of that. And I think that there is a clear divide between
Of course.
people who are capable of something like that versus people who are simply not. And,
Uh-huh.
me and you as human beings might have thoughts of being like, oh, like, screw that person. Oh, I'd love to just get away with from them or whatever.
Right.
But like, wouldn't go as far as thinking like
No.
murder. And
No.
that's the saddest part of it all, is that this whole world peace philosophy is like, while I fully believe in it, it is so it's beyond reality. It is never going to happen. World peace is
No.
like a fake ideal, because
Of
it's
course
just
it is.
but like we can believe it, but it's like that's never happening, and that
Yeah.
in itself is so sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah, but and so like Sunday, I had a hint of peace for a few hours. I went to a Grateful Dead cover band, my second one in 2 weeks,
Right.
up in Topanga Canyon, and it was all like peace, love, and happiness. It was really nice, and we were up like above Topanga Canyon Boulevard
Mm.
on a baseball field. Vendors were there, local vendors.
So
It was
fun.
really so nice. It was like it's like like at a Dead show, Max. How you you talk to people next to you sometimes,
Yeah,
in between songs or something, like, oh, that was a
totally.
great song. And it's like it was really nice, and that community we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. That
Yes.
community is just really
Yes.
nice sometimes. And look, I'm not the nicest person in the world. I get it. I just fucking called a lady bad name because she just cut right in front of me on the Vespa, and I was like, "Wow, you didn't even look to see if it was there." And she's
Yeah,
literally said to me, "Have a nice day." I was like, "What are you, Mick Foley?" I mean, come
right.
on.
Have a nice day. Bang
Right?
bang.
You know?
No, but so look, like you going to an event like that, maybe
Yeah.
that's as close as the world is gonna get to world peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's those glimmers of greatness. I just got off the phone with my cousin Brady. Shout out Brady. She's
Graduates
graduating.
tomorrow.
Isn't it that insane? Like
I can't.
that to
Yeah.
me, it was
Yeah.
weird when I graduated, weird when Cozy, weird when Ryan. This one is as
This one's
weird as
she's
it
the baby.
gets. She's the baby of us, so
Yeah.
of all of us. So I mean,
Crazy.
she's literally the youngest in the family, and that just goes like the youngest period, whether that's
Yes.
out of the
Yes.
parents, the
Uh-huh.
grandparents, the cousins, the children. She is in a league of her own as well. So it's just, and I was kind of just telling her that you really, as cliche as it is, like I called her just to tell her how proud I was of her and all that. But I told her, if there's any piece of advice I can give you, and surely I'm not in this crazy grandiose position,
Right.
to be in one.
Yeah.
I'm really only in one because I'm her elder
Yeah,
and her
oldest
oldest
her.
cousin.
Sure.
Um,
And the only boy cousin.
and the only boy. But I told her, I was like, just wake up and say to yourself, how can I live for the day? And this is something that you and I have discussed a ton in the last like year or so. And I've
Yeah.
tried and I think you have, don't want to talk myself up, but I think you've learned a little bit from me as far as just like trying to live for the day and not think about like the big picture BS, like literally just like wake up and be like, okay, how can I attack today and live today for what it is? Because I'm never going to get it again.
Yeah. And you know what? Tomorrow might not be here.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, as sad as it is, that is
Yeah.
something we've seen, in the last few years with people we know, like
Absolutely.
it's not promised.
No,
So
it's definitely not. But go back to Mickey 17.
sure.
Wow. Like
Did you like it?
I really liked it. It was
Good.
very thought provoking. It was, I felt like I was kind of looking at what goes on literally in my world,
Mm.
but also, Mark Ruffalo plays a Trump like, Elon Musk like character.
Pretty funny though. Can't lie.
Yeah, yeah.
I was laughing.
It's really thought provoking and kind of just weird. But I really love the ending.
Yeah.
When they showed his last name, like
Mm.
that really spoke to me. That we are somebody. We're not just a number. I mean,
It's like what you said at the beginning of the show. You're like, I'm not a somebody. I said, you're a somebody to me. You didn't even
what? And
realize
I'll
you said
tell
that.
we were talking about the driver ID the other day, and it's like it's a number, that
Yeah.
signify. It's like there we are. We're all numbers, but my name is Adam Laskill, so
Of course. Wow. And you don't give away your last name like that. So that's pretty
yeah, I know.
that's pretty
But
cool.
I realize I have to. I am Lasky in LA. I am in
You
LA.
are Lasky in LA. At Lasky in LA if you want to follow him on Instagram. We got clips now all over the gram, so go check us
All over
out.
the gram, yeah.
Yeah,
And what about the other thing? What's the other place? TikTok?
yeah, we're gonna be on TikTok, gonna be on YouTube Shorts. That's a big one for us.
I dig it.
But before
Cool.
before we wrap this up, I
Yeah.
feel like I'd be remiss if we don't discuss the Survivor finale, as well as the fact that season 55
Yeah.
0. Isn't that
Wild.
so weird? Like,
Yeah.
like so weird. We've been watching since you've been
I've been
watching since
watching it for
season one,
25 years.
and I've been watching for almost 20 years. So,
Yeah. Crazy.
it's really crazy. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
thought I would just love to hear your takeaways, your thoughts. I thought Kyle was a great
I
winner.
thought, I thought the season was amazing. Like I said last week, big love fest. It was kind of nice to see that, like people not getting angry with each other and being snot. It was, that kind of watching that on TV. I don't love that because I watch so much news and I scroll so much. You can see that shit there, So I
Right.
go to TV to like escape that shit. So it's really nice. But yeah, I wasn't thrilled with the winner. He played a very good game, but I
What?
really liked his partner in crime, Camilla.
No, Camilla.
And shout out Camilla, and she's going to show up on season 50, which is
Crazy.
awesome. And I really like the fireman Joe. I like them
Yeah.
both better than Kyle. But Kyle, I understood his game, and it was a great season. I feel really bad for season 49 because it's just going to be overshadowed. They should not have told everyone who's going to be on. I think that was a bad move on their part.
I think they should have waited. I think
They should wait until the end of the season. Absolutely.
I agree. I agree. I don't really, usually I try to see both sides. I don't really see a world in which it made sense for them to announce it that early. I mean,
no.
But it's going to be good. I mean, we got Colby coming back from season
2. Unbelievable. And then you got Jenna from season 1.
That's crazy. I didn't even.
She's 25 years older.
I know. What the heck?
Like
that's crazy. I'm glad they got season 1 representation. Like that's really cool.
Sure.
Ozzy, Coach,
the Dragon Slayer. Woo!
I love him. He's so funny.
Seal, what's her name? Siri.
Siri.
Yeah.
You know who's gonna
one?
I hope that Coach. Coach and Q are on the same tribe because them two are like they're one and the same. They're so just like full of
Yeah.
themselves and like make for great TV.
Yeah.
It's gonna
What
be
season
fun.
was Q? Because I don't remember.
Q was like 3 seasons ago. Like I think
3 seasons ago. I might not remember. I didn't watch for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I know, and I got
didn't
you.
watch
I
for 2 or 3
forced you. I told
seasons.
you I was
Yeah,
like,
you
go
did force
watch.
me. You're like,
You're
go watch.
missing.
You remember when I stopped? I'll remember when I stopped.
I don't.
The season of during the Me Too movement when he
I
told
remember.
the cast, they got into this whole big thing
I
about
remember.
like, I can't really say, come on in, guys. He's like, because you're not all guys. And I was like, wow, I'm fucking done with this. This
Dad.
bullshit. Like,
Dad.
really? You can't say, come on in, guys? Like, what kind of shit's that?
Well,
you
no,
know?
I think he was. Look,
I know what was going on. CBS was scared, and the whole fucking world was
I don't know if
scared
it was
about that
scared.
stuff.
I mean, I think I have a little different opinion on it. I think
Yeah, because you're your generation.
yeah, and that's why we do this podcast together. I think it was more so he wanted to be respectful of the
Movement
of the no, but
of the time.
of the temperature in the room. Clearly, there
Listen,
was someone on the cast who didn't find that comforting, that welcome comforting. And when
no,
sorry, when you go into battle,
yeah,
when you're entering the challenges, you shouldn't feel unwanted. You should feel like you belong. And clearly, the guy who spoke up, his name's Ricard. He was a season 41 contestant. Clearly, they felt a certain way about it, and that's why he, and Jeff Probst, they have retired the "come on in, guys" phrase. Which again, OG Survivor fans like myself, I still love the "come on in, guys." I'm just trying to reason with the change, and accept it, because honestly, it doesn't even like. I don't even think about it anymore. I haven't thought about it till
I don't
you
think
just dropped
believe me, I don't think about it
Yeah.
at all either. I'm just telling you, I know when I stopped because they got a little too like,
with the times.
And I was just like, fuck them. This
And
is
you're
bullshit.
getting older, and
And I'm getting older, and I'm used to Archie Bunker and George Jefferson and Sanford and Son. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why your generation couldn't last 2 seconds in back in the 70s and 80s.
Mom sends me.
You'd be so upset about everything.
Mom sends me shit, and I'm like,
and that's
please
why,
don't send me this.
That's why people can call me a name or something, and not, I mean, there's one name I don't like, but you can call me just about anything. I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I know the name you don't like, and I'll never bring it up. But
I want to say one more thing.
Please.
We brought up the Grateful Dead cover band and a community and all that stuff. I got 2 3-day passes for Dead and Company at Golden Gate State Park in August. And I got to tell you, Max, I am so incredibly excited about this. Because I mean, look, it means I would have seen them 5 times this year, which is,
crazy.
In my book, that's awesome.
It's a career year.
And I know people have done much more than that. But I will say this, like, it's in San Francisco.
Your place.
Blocks, my place. I mean, if I ever get out of LA, I'm going to San Francisco. My blocks, Haight-Ashbury is blocks from Golden
venue,
Gate, and they used to perform in Golden Gate State Park, along with many other places in San Francisco. And I believe that this is going to be such a love fest that I am so looking forward to that. People are going to be so nice to each other.
Oh,
providing it stays safe, from any other outside sources, but and which I think about.
You have to.
But it's so incredibly, like, I can't wait to just. I think there's going to be a transformation back into the 60s for those 3 days that you haven't seen. I don't think I've probably seen it since early shows in the 80s. Mom has never seen it. She's seen it in documentaries. Right. I think there's something special is going to happen there. And I have to be a part of that.
And I'm going to be a part of it too. I'm going to buy my tickets this week, hopefully, and I will be there, and I want to experience that with you. I need that level of happiness. I crave that level of just.
It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
I'm going to be exhausted, but it's going to be unbelievable.
We're going to be exhausted together. It's going to be worth it. We're going to see 3 Dead shows in a row.
Mhm.
plus Trey Anastasio, plus Billy
Yes.
Strings, plus
Yes.
Strugel Sampson, which is going to be
Yeah.
sweet. Is it Sampson or Simpson? I don't know.
I
But
don't
Dad, we're running out of time, so tell the people
Okay.
what they got to do.
Don't forget to subscribe, like,
Yes.
and join us every week for another episode of
Things You Should Ask Your Dad. Follow us on Instagram at Things You Should Ask Your Dad for clips from the podcast. If you don't want to sit through this whole thing, or if you just like couldn't make it to the end of this episode and wanted to hear what we had to say. So, Dad, I love
Love
doing
you.
this with you.
Love you, Max.
Love you too. We'll see you next week.
Yep.